I'm a mom of five and busy life, as anyone can imagine. And I've worked in dentistry since 1989, and I worked for a wonderful practice. And one day I woke up and I was fired from my job of over 13 years, no warnings, no signs, and it just rocked my world. It was the hardest thing I think I've ever had to endure. It put a lot of stress on my life and my body, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. My husband, the same year, broke his leg, and he was out of work and was working when he went back to work part-time. I also lost my father-in-law, who was the wittiest man I've ever met at the age of 91. Still driving in New York, by the way, prior to his passing. So I had to figure something out. And so I became an independent contractor in doing what I was doing. And I just realized that I was just working so hard. And that's when the frozen shoulder came about. When I walked into Dr. Dabu's office for my frozen shoulder condition, she treated me with acupuncture. Again, I had researched acupuncture and was very curious to know what it was all about. And as she was performing the acupuncture, I felt immediate relief. My shoulder was out of place. I could not put my shoulder behind my back. As a woman, we use our hands and our arms all the time to undo that bra behind our back, and I just couldn't even get my arm behind my back. I couldn't even drive. The very next day, I woke up and I could put my arm behind my back. It wasn't 100%, which I wasn't expecting. I wasn't even expecting the immediate relief after my appointment. I knew that I had to continue. And so she sat me down in her office. My next visit went over a treatment program. And I'm so glad I made the commitment. And each time I went in for my appointment, it just seemed as though she uncovered other things that were frozen in my life. From working, around the clock for other people and not feeling valued, not feeling self-worth. And she's, it was always, she would say, you need to know your worth. And for a long time, I just thought that, we're all put on this earth to help people. I wanted to make sure that I was being a good steward. And being a good steward is one thing, but when you don't feel valued, that's another thing. Every time I came in, I was really able to be still and listen to my inner self. And I'm so grateful that I was able to have the appointments, to be able to come in. Those hour appointments were a game changer for me. Allowed me to think of what it was that I wanted to do with my second chapter in my life. Before I start my day, I start with prayer. I always have my go-to people that I always like to listen to every single morning: T.D. Jakes, Joyce Myers, and Joni Lamb. Those are my go-to people, and of course, and Michael Todd, I have to say. And I sit outside on my deck and I admire nature. I've never been I've never been an outside girl. I've always an inside girl. But after this awakening, if you will, now I spend more time outside and really appreciate life. And I would tell anybody, when you're so busy, you have to know in the noise. And that is something that I've been told. And you need to be still and you need to listen. Don't take your days for granted. As my husband would say, give somebody the flowers while they're still living instead of putting them on a casket. You want to, if you can be a blessing and help someone every day, I pray, I'm like, okay, Lord, use me so that I can be a blessing to somebody else. Because I do know and understand that it's not about me. It's about other people. And this journey with acupuncture, when I come in for my appointments, it's all about mind, body, and soul. And it helps me to be that better person. And I'm so grateful for it. If I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would have to say, be patient, be still, listen, be true and honest to yourself. Because when you're true and honest to yourself, then you can be true and honest to others. It's about being transparent. It's about communicating. As women, we tend not to communicate. We tend to hold things in. We don't want to share. And we find out that with holding everything in, it creates a lot of uncertainties. It creates a lot of uneasiness. It creates a lot of mental and physical stresses on ourselves. And we as women, we have to say and put me first. And it's not being selfish. And that sometimes I thought with being a mom of 5 and with my husband that if I did anything for myself first, even when my husband's always saying put yourself first, then I would feel guilty. But we have to put ourselves first, and we have to give ourselves the time that we need for self-care and listen to our bodies, because it's so very important if we want these temples to last and go through the long haul. Her term means to me self-worth. We need to know our self-worth, and we need to put me first. That is what her term means to me. And with putting me first and sharing my journey, my stories with others, that is the ultimate goal, is to be able to share and to help others on their journeys.